Welcome back to the Immortal Podcast. Today I'm here with Indez and we're about to talk about the incoming update because the patch notes dropped this morning with new essences, new features inside of the game, new Battlegrounds stuff. So I figured Indez and I have to have the conversation. Welcome back to the channel, brother. How you doing?
Nice to be back. And this one, I think we're gonna have an interesting conversation, not only about the nuances, but especially about the one single feature that, yeah, I'm very curious to know your take on it.
Yeah, just so you all know, Indez and I did not have a discussion about our thoughts on this update before we started recording the video, so you're going to get it all real time. All right, let's talk about the essences first. They're at the top of the patch notes. Are there any highlight essences that you think are going to break or make any of the classes, starting with the Wizard's the first one that's on the patch notes?
So the wizard was one of those classes that got, a heavy nerf, and
Yeah.
from what I see, it doesn't seem like there is any single instance that kind of stands out. But sometimes, like maybe someone will come up like with a new build, maybe bring like the wizard more into the meta. Definitely, it's gonna be completely different the way it was, but it was like kind of okay as a first glance. Then we also have the other classes. For
Barbarian.
example, the Barbarian. They are trying to make like the Barbarian like this tank support kind of role. Can be interesting, but since they actually didn't nerf the Cleave build, I don't think anyone will actually play with it. So it was like maybe okay. The
Okay.
Monk, they are trying to make it faster in PvE. A lot of these instances are for PvE, which is nice because it's an area of the game that the Monk kind of lacks. But there is an offhand for the monk that actually I think is going to be very powerful, because now the Mystic Strike will gonna be you're gonna be able to break out of like any crowd control, which is going to be very powerful, because you can only kill the monk if there is in CC most likely. So that's like very interesting. On the other class, also we're gonna have as well the
Demon
Demon
Hunter.
Hunter. I feel like there is a shoulders. The shoulders are interesting because now you're gonna be able to use your primary attack while also putting these rain of arrows coming down. But the problem is that your movement speed is greatly reduced. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like it's not ideal for PvE, even for PvP. You never want to be actually like really slow. So we'll have to see how it goes, but I feel like the meta will not change like too much in Demon Hunter. For Crusader, I think Crusader might be one of the classes. If I had to guess, that probably will become quite tankier. Like there's like these everything is around the amount of absorb shield. You're gonna get like multiple shields, gonna be able to knock up. So I think it's gonna make Crusader quite tanky and quite interesting. So if it's a class that you like to be tanky, probably give it a shot. I know you like it, Echo, to
I
play
do.
Crusader.
Yes, I do.
Now
Cool.
we have here the Necromancer. And the Necromancer recently got a nerf on the raid form, but there's something kind of interesting. They have new pants that the raid form will be able to turn you into a raid that you're gonna go inside the player and give them like some beneficial effects.
Hmm.
So in League of Legends, there is a character very strong, very like completely broke the game, which is called Yumi, which is a support that does exactly the same thing. The support goes inside the carry, and then the carry just starts destroying everything because it can heal, can give them movement speed and all these things. So imagine that you are on the raid form and you will be able to apply damage increase, damage reduction, slows while with the aura while you are buffing a crusader or buffing like a barbarian. Is just destroying. Like I think it can be quite interesting. Definitely nuances is quite intriguing, but I feel like maybe there's something there for the future.
And that's
For
for
the Blood
PvP.
Knight,
You're thinking for PvP there, or you're thinking
yeah,
against
yeah.
big, yeah.
I mean, if he also works in PvE, but I feel like more into PvP.
Yeah.
But if it's like super strong either way and just makes everyone really strong,
Yeah.
maybe you can just destroy a dungeon just with the necromancer on your back, right? But it makes it like really strong if you are a low resonance player. And then you just like, okay, I'm gonna go support Necromancer, and I will just give all these buffs to the whale, to the carry of my team. There is a really good chance for the low reso player to have more impact than they have now.
Yeah,
For the
and
Blood Knight,
that's why I
yeah,
like to use Crusader, right? Because I'm a lower resonance compared to a lot of the people that I play with, so I can
yeah,
go and be that support role as a Crusader. So I actually like that a lot as a Necromancer. I like
yeah.
that they're potentially giving us the ability to have, the little players play with the bigger players and actually add value rather than just being carried the whole time. So good call.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. For the Blood Knights, I mean, I don't think it's gonna change a lot. There's here some interesting, but overall, like it's all about consuming life, getting a lot of healing. Maybe if the healing is not properly tuned, maybe it's gonna be OP inside the PvP. But aside from that, I didn't see like anything like completely game breaking.
Okay.
Then we have here the Tempest. I mean, the Tempest. I think the only answers that was quite interesting was like the head answers. But overall, from what I saw, it doesn't seem like Tempest is gonna change a lot. But a lot of these things, like you kind of have to also see them inside the game because the
Yeah.
descriptions a lot of times don't really match exactly what we get on the patch notes. Maybe there's some hidden information inside the skill inside the game that maybe we don't know, and maybe it can actually make a really good build. With this being said, bro, the Druid, the bear is one of the most powerful characters inside the PvP. Okay,
Yes.
great tank, damage dealer as well, but above all, great tank. And everything about this is only for the bear. Okay, they are making the bear even stronger than already is. And I'm just gonna start with the main hand. That now you will be able to turn your werebear into a stone bear,
Yeah.
which is gonna give you immunity to all loss of control, and also is gonna give you a shield based on your primal power consumed.
Oh.
Yes, you're gonna be a bit slower, but you don't need to move a lot on the idle, right?
You're just
Like
sitting
you
on
go
the
ahead,
idle, yeah.
you just turn into like a massive stone bird, and you just sit there. It kind of reminds me of like that Fantastic Four, the rock. It's not the rock, it's the I don't know what's his name.
Yeah, the stone guy. I don't know his name
Yeah,
either.
the stone. Yeah, I also don't know his name. The orange stone guy.
Mhm.
So then there is other instances that it is based on the, for example, the head instance is also very interesting because you're gonna be able to jump, and whenever you jump, you're gonna smash the ground. You're gonna have like some rocks around you. So I don't know if you remember a year ago or something, there was these instance for Barbarian. There was like like a circle of rocks
Yeah.
around you. I don't know if it's gonna be similar to that, but then whenever you're gonna start punching the ground, you're gonna have like these shock waves. Then you also there's another instance gonna be able to do more AOE, and there's also the new instance for the chest piece, which usually is the healing, but the chest piece is gonna give you like just damage reduction. So the bear,
Wow.
I feel like it's gonna be absolutely crazy, even more crazy. It's like on my video, I was like doing first reaction reading this, and I was asking literally, Blizzard, like, hello, are we playing the same game? Like,
Yeah. The bear's
like,
already dominant in PvP, and now it's going to be crushing it.
exactly. So I got to be like a bit confused. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's gonna be crazy, I think.
This looks awesome, man. I mean, honestly, it's making me feel like maybe I'll switch back to, because I never like was in love with the druid, but this bear form, and every time I'm in PvP, you see the bear sitting on the idol. It's in every single PvP match. So now it's gonna be all bears, man.
Stone bears now.
Stone bears, yes, stone bears. I think that's cool. It's definitely going to be fairly dominant. So that's it for the essences, which brings us to one of maybe the more controversial topics inside of the game: auto battles. Indez, this is something I never thought would come to Diablo Immortal. We see it in some of like the Asian themed action RPGs that you can kind of just let it battle on its own and then you come in and do what you want to do. But now with the activating our blessings, which I like that, we now have the ability to turn on 24 hours per week of auto battles at 60-minute increments. So it'll go for 60 minutes. You then are going to have to check in on your phone, salvage a bunch of stuff, pick up some things, and then, you know, essentially set it out again. First of all, I'll tell you how I feel, because I saw what your video was titled. So I could assume that I know how you feel, but this is good for casual players trying to catch up, people that aren't like, you know, buying pilots and things like that to farm their accounts all day long. So it's like a in-game little pilot for you, essentially, at least for open world farming. I mean, for me personally, I freaking love it, man, because now I'm gonna be able to have my phone next to me for 3 hours or so a day, just check in once in a while, and it's gonna help me keep up my farm grind that I don't like doing anyway. I like doing the events and things inside of the game. I don't love open world farming just to try and get myself loot. So I think it's overall positive, but I know that I may be in the minority with that. And the reason why I think it's positive is because my sometimes lack of time to invest in doing those farming like things. How do you feel about it? Why is this killing Diablo Immortal?
So I don't think you're in the minority. If anything, I think you're actually the majority of the players. They really
Really?
feel that way. Yeah, I think the majority of the players are just like older, they have jobs, kids, and so any type of convenience regarding like farming that I don't have to farm, they think it is welcome because it just makes life easier.
Yeah.
So I feel that because I mean I don't have kids, but I have a wife, I have family, I have jobs, so you know like I'm also fucking busy. But so I understand the convenience part, and in that kind of seems great. My gripe with it is like also I just want to put some context that this feature was already in China about like a year ago, maybe even more. It is very part of their culture, like the like
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even have limits in a lot of these games. But a lot of times what it does to these mobile games, it's the longer the game goes, most of the times end game content or content inside a game just becomes a skip button, right? Like you see in multiple games, like it used to be something that people were excited for, and then over time it just becomes, oh, now you just skip 10 battles, boom, instantly you log in, you know, skip, 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 and then 10 minutes you're done and you just go about your day. Okay. So this kind of mentality in mobile games, I feel like it is like very old school. And I feel like the more skipping and the more auto battle exists, the less I feel like to play the game. Like the less I enjoy to play the game, and it starts making the game feel more like a chore over time, where I'm actually just addicted to log in on the game and just check the boxes, put the account running, and I'm not even having fun. If you talk about actual fun, like a lot of the fun that we have, it is whenever we are actually playing the game. So in the convenience part, yeah, I understand, and it's like it's not like we cannot already not do AFK farming inside the game. You can, but the philosophy from Blizzard, from at least the Blizzard teams that I always saw, was like they were always against the AFK farming. There is a reason why they actually introduced the poison pools inside of the game. If you're idle for too long, then your character is gonna die. There is a reason why they introduced that. So that's why I put it in a way that I feel like these might not be coming directly from the Blizzard side. It seems like it is a push from the side of NetEase. Maybe it was also a push from the side of NetEase to put like the cosmetic wings, because a lot of like these features that are getting introduced, it just feels like there is a disconnect between like or the teams or the cultures, because we have different cultures and interests.
Of course.
And also I'm biased to my own opinion, right? You want to add something?
Uh, no, I don't want to add something. I'll when you're done, I'll talk.
Yeah. So for me, I understand like whenever people say, "Hey, I'm a busy guy," you know, this helps me. I don't have to farm. But on the other side, I feel like it will just make the game eventually you're just gonna everything the more like this also because it's not my first mobile game. It's also not you, definitely not your first mobile game.
Yeah.
And I saw this trend happening over time, and they will try to make it as easy as possible for you to keep logging in on the game. Also, have in mind this makes you that you have to be logged in for
Yes.
about an hour inside the game, and that looks great, you know, for who, for the stakeholders of, you know, the on the shareholder meetings. Hey, look at this player activity we have. Oh my god, it's so good, you did so well this quarter, maybe give you a bit of more money, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of like these things that you have to understand, like the blessing of the legends. They didn't come out of like they want to give you better gear. No, it's just like another FOMO tactic for you to keep logging in the game. But then we're just gonna be logging in on the game, and the only action probably that you're gonna see like for you is actually just swiping that card. Like also we're gonna see that we're gonna have a new banner, and there's also another way to put even more FOMO inside the game, more financial FOMO, because the new gem banner it's gonna allow you to pretty much select any gem that you want in the game. And what people are gonna do, people just gonna select Running Consequence, Bloodsoaked Jays, maybe the Leviathan Tomb, like all of these S tier gems, and it will make you to want to spend even more money.
Yeah.
So I see this not as, wow, great, they are trying to help me making the game more convenient. This actually makes me, based on my experience of playing other games, that the game is actually going to a direction that they don't want to keep losing more players, like, and they are probably just trying to make everything as good, as nice, and as easy. And whenever everything is easy, if they try to add any content that is remotely challenged, people are gonna complain, because they are used to be so comfortable and easy. And maybe I'm coming from like maybe a grinder mindset that I like to have a bit more challenge. That's why a lot of times I get a bit bored inside Diablo Immortal. But for maybe some other players, they just love it and they just don't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah, well, there's a few, you made some great points. There's a few that I want to touch on. First of all, I just looked up the stats of Diablo Immortal's active players, and last month it was 750,000. So it didn't even break 1 million. So clearly the game is having less and less players over time. Now, I'm not sure if that was global or if that was just, if that wasn't including China. I'm assuming it wasn't including China. So right there, the player base is going down. I also agree there's a balance, right? They want to make the game better for players, but they also want to make the game continue to succeed over time. You saying, and it says right here, 60 minutes, every 60 minutes you have to go and collect. And I assume that you need to have the game active. Can you confirm that? So we have to have the game actually open and playing for that farm to happen. I can't close my phone.
No, I don't think so. That would be outrageous, in my opinion. No, I feel like that you have to have, like, I didn't play it, so but I will assume that's how it's gonna work. It's the same like whenever you're playing other games like Raid or something, like they give you the auto battle option, but you still have to be like watching the
game has to be on.
Happening.
Yeah,
exactly.
I assume the same, but there are games that will farm while you're away, like AFK Arena. Like you literally close the game, you come back, and your loot is full because it was auto farming in the background. There's
so in that sense, I think it will be more interesting. That you don't have your, but in those cases there's no character, like your character is not roaming around the world, maybe even colliding and interacting with other players,
right?
It's just like I will give you X amount of currency per hour, and once you reach that hour it just increases, and then another hour increases, and then there is usually a cap of like 24 hours or something, so it forces you to log in every day.
Yeah, exactly. Essentially what it is this will be useful to players. Let's be honest here. It's going to be useful to me as a player. I'm going to take my iPad and I'm just going to kind of have it beside me throughout the day, and I'm going to keep the farming going on, because why not? It's a great feature that'll help keep my account where it needs to be, getting new essences, getting monstrous essence, which is something that probably a lot of very casual players don't cap every single day. But having that active playtime, you're right, for investors, they might look, they could literally be getting 24 hours of gameplay at least from casual players per week, even if they're just doing the casual farming. Now, I wonder, because they did mention that it's not as efficient as actively farming. I'm curious on how different that's going to be. And
can tell you, because in the past I made a video and I also had a spreadsheet that I compared active farming to AFK farming, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you go into a build, like here is even worse, because in AFK farming back in the day it was like 4 necromancers or like 4 whatever. Yeah. And you are 4 people farming at the same time. There is like these spawn, and but still, if I actually was running circles, I will actually still perform about like maybe 30 to 40% more resources after an hour. Obviously, there's all this RNG regarding legendaries, but if you're just looking at like scraps and gold dust, you'll be more beneficial. Obviously, you have to play it, so you have to think, it's like 30 or 40% of scraps and gold justifies these hours that I'm going to be spending, or I can just take the L of like less resources. But I mean, the necromancer will just farm for itself, right?
Yeah.
So here it's like we have to understand, like, probably you can do it solo, or you can maybe even do it with a party, and then it's just gonna be like AFK 1 hour parties or something like that. And you could be you, me, and like two people from the comment section, and we go and they would just turn on the bot and hey, see ya, boys,
Yeah.
and but the thing is, like, also it doesn't allow you to salvage. So
It doesn't. Well, you have to log in to salvage, so I can then use my pet to salvage everything. My thought
yeah, but
was
that you need to be inside the game or near the
yes.
game, right?
Right. So
So
so my thought is it's sitting here beside me while I'm working. Every hour I log in, I look at it and I auto salvage everything from my pet. I go around and collect everything that was left behind and I salvage again and then I set up another hour. So basically I have to put in 2 minutes of gameplay for every 60 minutes of farming. And I'm curious, is this, if players only do this and they decide not to do anything else in the game, will they be able to keep up with Server Paragon? If they're doing 24 hours of less efficient farming per week, will they get enough resources to maintain Server Paragon level on a week-to-week basis? I think they might.
I mean, I don't know if they might, but definitely it will help. That's for sure.
I mean, you're
But like
completing
most
you're completing everything for your battle pass and all that, the little quests that come up, kill monsters, collect resources,
I mean, like most of the XP that comes during the week, it is from raids, bounties, and battle pass, right?
Mhm.
So for you to start getting the battle pass points, you need to collect the 10 monster essences and deliver. So I think this is like it's, but the weird thing is like you can already do like this kind of AFK farming
I
inside the
know.
game, even with the poison. Okay, even with
Yes.
poison, it just happens like, oh shit, I died, and
Yeah,
then you
log it
go,
on again. Yeah.
you res, and then you just keep it going. So it's just like what I'm more scared, and this is like for me a red flag. It is the direction that I see the game going. Like it was first the wings, the art style that it's in my opinion doesn't match like Diablo Immortal. Now we are seeing another AFK farm feature coming into the game, like official one, and
Yeah.
it's just like the direction is just like and now also the new legendary gem specific banner that we're also going to talk about. So everything like this keeping giving me like a nostalgia in a bad way, like from like back in the day when I used to play these other games. So I see it as red flags. um so yeah,
Yeah.
but if I'm going to use it, probably like sometimes I will use it,
Yeah.
of course, like it's inside the game, but
Now
it's just
to,
yeah, yeah.
to contrast and give an altering opinion, I compare things a lot to Raid because I play Raid regularly, and you've played Raid as well. I'm sure a lot of people have. Doing something like you have different clan bosses that you could fight against. You have the original clan boss, you have the Hydra, and then you have the Chimera. The Chimera is the newest one. The regular clan boss, once you beat it, you can auto that every single day. Same thing with Hydra once you beat it, because these are like 20-minute battles that no one either has time for or wants to do every day. So you're essentially farming them on an auto battle that happens super quick. But Chimera being one of the newer ones, you can't do that. There's no auto feature. Every week you got to put in the time to run those battles because it's a newer feature. So, I mean, as Diablo Immortal gets more and more, and they realize more and more that maybe Battlegrounds is where a lot of our end game players are playing, and other people, whatever, are doing just the regular farming and around the world stuff, maybe they have to make things go quicker. And let's be honest, Indez, do you get excited about going and say, oh, yes, I'm going to go farm for 3 hours today? I mean, it's not like they got rid of something that anyone actually looks forward to. And if you do look forward to it, it's because you're in a party, you're on Voice with Friends and chatting. It's not because the actual farming is fun.
I mean, it's not like it is fun per se, and so for me, like my reasons to go to open world to farm, it is mainly, it's not like the server paragon, because I say like you can catch up like if you do like raids and these things. It's mainly because of the ancestors. I just hope to farm open world for the new ancestors, like get into a party of 4 people and just farm it like very quickly the daily gems, and then I'm done. Like I don't stay nowadays like 4 or 5 hours farming. Like it just doesn't happen nowadays, because also my gear is at rank 30. I don't need to. But
True.
if you are in a position that your gear is not rank 30, yeah, probably you're gonna spend like more hours. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like only time will tell. If I think that is like the worst thing in the world, no, it's just like for me, it is a red flag for the direction that I see the game going, which I honestly don't agree. And I know that we are comparing with Raid, but also Raid, it is like I said, like it is an old school mentality that we have
Yes.
like these skip things. And if you see like the modern games, they are way more hands-on, and they avoid to have they just do it in a different way. And I just think like they are different games. And Raid, it's not like it was never designed to actually have like hours and hours of hands-on game. Maybe at the start, whenever you're just first starting. But I feel like Diablo games, and one of the things that I always enjoyed was like the freedom that if you want to spend 30 minutes or 1 hour, you can, and if you want to spend like 12 hours, you can.
Yeah, I agree. I had before we move on to the next, one of my friends and clanmates, Wolfie, actually, well, server mates, Wolfie hit me up today. He's like, "Did you see the new farming thing?" I said, "Yeah," and he says, "Well, I wish it was for dungeons." What would you say if and I think that would be more of a negative thing, right? Because dungeons are where you party with people. He's like, why? He said that he wishes he did it. They did it for like 10 dungeons in a row. You can just kind of auto farm them. If that were to happen, would that be like your next Doom and Gloom video? Like Diablo Immortal really is in the shitter now.
I think once you reach to that point, and it's just like probably, or you've been playing the game for too long, or you just don't enjoy to play the game as much,
Yeah.
nowadays. I feel like if you put it inside the dungeons, you absolutely just kill like the hardcore, like the core of Diablo, which is
Dungeons.
basically just dungeons, right?
Yeah.
Like once you autoplay that, I think it is over. Regarding the open world, like the only thing you really get is probably like XP, maybe some scraps here and there, maybe some legendaries, not many, but and maybe if you're really lucky, maybe a rune or something. But yeah, like you're not gonna get the gear, like a gear upgrade from open world. Like I mean, recently I found probably around like 800 legendaries. I'm getting ready for the warlock, and I didn't get any single upgrade, even with this blessing of legends. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just like more like maybe for the XP catching up kind of thing and
Materials.
scraps.
Yep.
Yeah,
Scrap.
materials and than anything else.
Yeah, I agree, and I assume that Wolfie wants it for green items and things like that as well, right? Like trying to farm
Yeah,
greens. But yeah,
yeah.
just wanted to bring that up. Okay, so we have this open captain selection. So this is regarding Battlegrounds and how now you're going to be able to select a captain, and there's a chance of having these legendary duels that can happen where the captain's going to choose 3 teammates and they go into some type of a fight. They're going to get to draft these. So my initial thought is, although I don't really, I can't really see like how it's going to work and play into a normal Battlegrounds, I do like that they're bringing new stuff to Battlegrounds. That they're not, because in the past we used to say it's the same freaking map for 2.5 years. Everyone's bored, and they started bringing different experiences for Battlegrounds or types of Battlegrounds. Now they're bringing this. And I know the last thing that they brought were having PvE elements put into Battlegrounds, which no one likes because you don't play Battlegrounds for PvE. I do like that they have this new feature in here, but I can't really envision how it's going to play out. Maybe you can.
So regarding the mobs inside Battlegrounds, I think it is part of like a new strategy that they are envisioning for the Battlegrounds seasons. Because whenever they didn't present, oh, this is how it's gonna be now. They said, hey, for this season, this is gonna be the
Mm.
team. So I believe, and it will be really cool if every PvP season for every 3 months we have something changing. So
Kind
that's
of,
what
kind of
I
like.
think.
Sorry to cut you off, but it's kind of like a
Yeah,
whole D3 or D4 season. It comes, all the whole gameplay changes. So they're kind of like bringing a seasons element from the old other Diablo games into Battlegrounds here. At least that's your thought.
yeah, like
That's
it
cool.
happens like in League of Legends, right? Like every year they update the map, they update like the mobs, they create like new features.
Yeah.
And I know that there are some Blizzard game devs that they worked in the Wild Rift and like League of Legends. So I think they are bringing a lot of like that. Oh, let's make the PvP slightly more more, interesting and less boring. And yeah, you may not like the season team of like because there's a lot of mobs, but maybe next season there's gonna be something else that maybe is gonna be cooler,
Yeah.
or that maybe it changes. That like for me, I kind of honestly I don't dislike it because it's just something new, and I was been playing PvP for the past 2 years. I'm just glad there's something new, and the map looks
Makes
awesome.
sense.
So regarding here, these draft, it's the same base concept on the whenever you play League of Legends or Dota 2, you have two captains that they start, and then each one's gonna be able to pick those games heroes. In this game, is gonna be players, but this is only for legend rank. So
Right.
this is gonna make the queue a bit longer, maybe like 2 minutes longer, because you have this drafting selection. But I feel like you will make it in a way that it is gonna make, because it's gonna be the two highest rated players making the decisions of which are the three players that they want, and then the rest is gonna be fillers. So this probably gonna take like just a few minutes, and then you get inside the game, and hopefully, this is gonna make the game a bit more balanced and exciting. This also, this is for example a feature that was already also introduced in the Chinese version, and it was quite successful there. But this one, I personally I like it because it just makes it like, okay, you go from bronze to legend in a normal way, and then you reach to legend, and there's more like these higher level pace games, which there is a bit more strategy in terms of team comp and things. It's not like the RNGs of matchmaking that I just got unlucky and there's like 5 barbs on the other team and I got like no barbs on mine.
Do you think in any way that this is a spend strategy to make the whales want to fight to be the strongest ones so that they could be the ones in charge of that draft? Because I could see, if you're like teetering as a top whale and you're never getting to control the draft because you're
so here is not highest powered but highest rated.
So basically the highest rank in Battlegrounds?
Yes, the one that has the highest ranking.
Okay, so it makes people want to push higher in Battlegrounds to get that higher ranking.
It gives incentive.
Got you.
For you to keep pushing, which is a problem that we've been having in the game, that once you reach to legend, there's really not a lot of incentive. Yeah, so this brings an incentive that, hey, I don't want to be the one always getting picked. So if I keep pushing to rank 1 or rank 2 or 3, maybe I'm going to be one of the team captains and make the team in my own way.
Yeah, okay. I actually like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense because now you get to legend. All right, maybe I'm going to keep pushing because I want to be in charge of those drafts.
Yeah. Well, but you said one thing interesting is like whenever it comes to spenders and politics and relationships, it's like, are you going to be able to see the name of the person? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, that there are whales and there are whales, right?
Yes, Krakens and whales. They're different.
Yeah. No, but there are also whales that they play really well, and there are the whales that play less well, and that's just part of the game. But if you're able to see the the name, it can create some rivalry, and it's like, oh yeah, of course you're gonna pick that guy, and that guy always gets picked because everyone.
I think you should. I think you should be able to see the names. I think that makes it fun. That makes it so like you can make a name for yourself. Well, you can make a name for yourself inside of the game, Okay, Bout of Realms. Let's be honest here. You're in Bout of Realms. As soon as you get into the room, you could scout the other team. I know me and my team, we're looking like, oh, I know that name, or I know that tag, like, oh, or these guys suck. Like, you just know because you know the names. So this kind of brings that out. I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's gonna bring like more drama and
bring the drama
in a good way. Yeah, in a good way. Some people like, oh, I don't like drama, but they are like healthy drama and interesting drama.
Yes.
Whenever there's we gamers are like so polite nowadays. Like back in the day, it was like trash talking and but it was always like in healthier gaming way, it's not like really I want you to jump out of whatever,
So, bring back Baratheon and all the trash talking. We need him back in the game. Okay, so we have these cross-regional expansions, so these regions are going to be able to cross-pollinate in Battlegrounds, which is good. I actually know a lot of people in Oceania who always felt like they were just in this they were stuck. They could never play with other people. It seemed like such a small little cluster. So at least now, I know a lot of people in Oceania that wanted to like come over to our servers, but they just couldn't because there was no connection. So at least they're making some type of a connection here for Battlegrounds, probably because they were probably losing people in the Oceania server. I do know.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's the one of the reasons, right? Like, as we said, like the player base is getting smaller, so
Yeah,
like the obvious way you also see in other games is that they
combined.
start merging the servers, right?
Yep.
But if you remember, like there is like the South American, North America merge that a lot of people actually didn't like it because there's whenever you have South American players and North American players, like there is more ping, like so the latency is higher, it's like harder to play. Also different regions, they have different metas, different play styles, language barriers.
Yeah.
So
That's a
yeah, it's like a lot of players aren't happy. So imagine here, like
yeah.
Southeast
Yeah.
Asia, Japan, Korea, and Oceania. I think it's gonna be absolutely wild.
Well, there's going to be no communication going on, that's for sure. But, it's a battle you have to choose, right? Like, do you want to be all combined so the matchmaking experience is more robust and there's less queue times and you have better opponents, possibly? Or do you want it to be more niche where everyone is in the same small cluster and then you're waiting, longer? So I think you're going to have people upset or happy on both sides of that along the way. All right. So moving through some of these, we can just zip through. Obviously, we're getting 50, I believe, new levels of challenge rifts. So
Nobody
all of us, what's that?
cares. Nobody cares.
No, I know, but you know why I care? Not because I push. I want to get my greens higher, bro. Don't you? Give me those crystals, man.
I mean, it's like as long as it's like gate kept on the combat rating, it's like only whenever this happens, this is whenever I push.
Yeah,
And then I push until I
agreed.
have like a deficit of like 1,000, and I'm done. Like it's just like okay.
I push when I could jump 5 and I could just easily clear through them. And then when I can't jump 5 or if I have to fight too hard, I'm like, okay, I just go back to the exit and I wait for this time to come. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a leaderboards guy for challenge rifts. All right, enhancing the competitiveness of the Rite of Exile. What were we saying here? I don't even remember what this was. Oh yeah, they were going to make it more difficult for week 7 of Immortals, correct?
Yeah, also they want to have like these even matchmaking systems. So
Yeah,
you don't
spying.
really know how to plan like what team against what team.
Yeah.
They also gonna bring like these scouting points. So we'll have to see exactly how this uh, goes inside the game.
I don't think that
But
matters so
honestly,
much. The scouting part, like, I mean, even us now in these Rite of Exile matches, like who you're going against, which I guess is cool, but not knowing, I don't know that it would change too much.
I feel like what is like it is not solving the biggest core issue, which is actually a human politics problem, right? Like a lot of servers, they just like handshake. Hey, I take these 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Then next 7 weeks is yours, and I mean this is interesting. But if I look at the solution they are coming with, like I don't think he's gonna break that deal.
No, I agree.
So I think they have to bring like some they have maybe to even like remake the way the immortal system works, which probably they look at it, what is not even worth it, the investment. Like the game is broken in so many other ways that maybe fixing the immortal system it's not worth it. But yeah, I feel like it is a nice effort. But if you are in the clan or in a server that they have an alliance and those alliance they have a deal to just keep exchanging reigns, I don't think this is gonna change anything.
No, I don't think it is either. But do you think it's going to be more difficult to? Do you think that week 7 is going to completely change people getting a blessed reign or not?
Depends on what kind of server you are.
How
Because
tight
if you
those
are in the
battles are?
yeah, if you are in the competitive server that there's no agreement, yeah, obviously it's gonna make it like way harder. Like because a lot of times instead of like reducing from to 4 to 3, just gonna make it challenge.
Yeah, it's going to make it a bit harder, which does mess up the cape system because, as I mentioned in my video, like you get your capes, it in some ways is like 14 weeks you get yourself like the next size cape. which if you're not able to get those 7 weeks each time, it adds on to that, and everyone wants their bigger cape
Yeah,
now.
it's like weeks and blessed brains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, new battle pass is coming. This is going to be the last battle pass of enhancing the freaking clown cosmetic or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm actually
Yeah.
curious to see what that's going to look like at its maximum enhanced version. Like,
Yeah, yeah, same.
how cool is it going to be?
I feel like it's gonna be like better than how it was, right?
Yeah,
Because right now you are having like cosmetic slop every month, like just oh my god, we need to
yeah,
just pull like ChatGPT, you do it. People were memeing about this, but obviously it was not like that. But the quality was not really there.
yeah.
So I feel like if you are a low spender, you just get the battle pass. I think like it's a better deal. You have 3 months, and in 3 months you get a cooler cosmetic. I
Yeah,
think it's better. Also, it gives them the team 3 months to make something even better.
it solves their problem of bringing out new classes, having to do these cosmetics. Now, I don't think that after 3 months of progression, it's going to be a Phantom Market looking cosmetic, but I do think it's going to have some of those effects, and it's going to make it look cool. And I think it's the right way. I think that Blizzard made the right choice on that, because why stress the team with, as you called it, slop cosmetics? When they could, get a cool idea, and every 3 months they have to get a cool idea, and then enhancing it's easier. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in quotes in the title: slop cosmetics. All right, refreshing the legendary drop pool. If you want the new gem, make sure you do those before this time is up. Right?
No, no, this is not this one. It's like you can select which is the one you want.
Wait, but even the brand new gem, you could still select that as the one you want.
I'm certain because look at there. What it says
I
that
don't know.
now players will be able to choose a designated legendary gem for 50% drop in the upcoming legendary gem.
Haven't we
rarity.
seen that in the past, and it didn't include all of them?
I mean, that's not what it says there, but if it is like that, then
Okay.
it's like just
It-
it's just like playing with the words.
Honestly, if this is true and we could choose between any 5-star legendary gem, first of all, that's awesome, because
Yeah.
that's great. And the banners as well. I mean, yes, the banners is a way to spend, but it does seem like they're making it easier to get some of these legendary gems, which is nice. And I guess that had
Yeah.
to happen, or else you'd never get there as
And
they
that's why
introduce.
I was saying this is another like good bad thing they are adding to the game.
Yeah,
Good because it makes your life easier to get certain things. Also
cheaper.
gonna make it cheaper for you to get it, but also it is a bad sign in a way because maybe like the player base is decreased. Maybe people are not spending as much, so they have to find ways to incentivize the spending along the
Yeah,
way.
I'm on the fence with your theory there. I agree, but at the same time, I feel like Blizzard puts out something that's good. So I think this AFK is good. I think that 50% drops is good because it makes it easier. So we ask for things that are going to be helpful inside of the game. They bring us things that are helpful inside of the game, and then we say they're bringing this to make the game easier, and this is a bad sign. So like, there's a balance. I think
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that it's good that they're doing things that make the game less grindy. Imagine
For
like,
me, I'm happy that probably I'm gonna get my rolling consequence, or probably I'm not even gonna pull for this. I'm just gonna wait for the new OP 5-star.
yeah, well, that's the problem. You're always going to be waiting for the next and waiting for the next. So.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
still
true.
haven't even put my gem together of the latest gem. I have all the copies, and I still haven't even put the freaking thing together. It's just sitting in my bag.
Wow,
Yeah, I know.
it's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
know it is. PvP damage reduction change. So it says something about the damage reduction is being increased to provide an overall increase of 50% damage reduction compared to the current live experience. How big of a deal is this?
Okay, so I think this is a big deal because what is happening is like we are getting so strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at the power creep, our power level of your character, for example, compared like a year ago, now we are doing millions of damage like it's nothing, right? And they have to make it in a way that hey, we also need to balance the PvP because like everybody's just doing like way too much damage, and unless
Mm-hmm.
you have a savior or an undying rage or shit dead or whatever, you're just gonna get one shotted a lot of times. So my only issue with this in specific is they are saying, oh, we're gonna bring damage reduction by 15% all across all the classes. But if the meta is already so dominant in tanky classes like barbarians, like the druids, like especially like these monks as well, that it's gonna make like these classes even harder to kill them because they already take less damage. So 15% damage reduction, even on top of that, is gonna make them harder to kill. What I would have done was, oh, let's bring 15% increased damage reduction to the squishy classes, like for example the wizard, maybe like the necromancer, the demon hunter, like the classes that they actually struggling with survivability, but maybe making that way makes it like harder on the code, because otherwise I think it's just gonna be like the tank meta is gonna keep ruling because like it's like, because these tanks like in any other game, like from strategy games like Raid or World of Warcraft, tank like Prot Warrior or a tank, it is high survivability, low damage. In Diablo Immortal, it is high survivability, high damage.
Yeah.
So there is no downside. That's why everyone plays like the more tanky classes because they still do a lot of damage.
Yeah. I feel like they could fix that just by, if they really wanted to add survivability to specific classes like a wizard or a demon hunter, they could just do that through essences, right? Like they can make those upgrades there and not because I think it could get messy with the amount of damage reduction being on a fluctuating scale based off what class you are. I'd just say if they want to make them stronger, buff a couple of essences that are used in PvP or something.
But then you lose you lose their role, right? Because if we only have 8 slots for instances,
Yeah.
and if you're taking those slots and you're not putting in the offensive side, then like why have you in my team?
Yeah.
Like you are there to make damage, you are there to kill like the backline or the front line. And if you're just going all in on off defensive gems, then you become like a demon hunter tank. But we don't need a demon hunter tank because we already got the druid, the bear druid, we already got the barb and the front line.
Yeah.
So it gets like very messy, and I understand like it's a complex problem to have. I just think like they have to go, and I'm a barb. I play barb most of the times, right? Not as much now, but I think they just have to. If you are a bear, if you're a tank, your damage has to be like half. It has to be like half or cutting like less than half, and just let like the damage dealers be the damage dealers. So
it's a clear role.
don't
You're
feel
saying like clear roles, like the big tanky guys. They're not going to be the damage dealers. You need the wizards. You need the demon hunters in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
that's the only reason why the battlegrounds are flooded with the bears and wizard bears and barbs, or in monks. It's just because of that. Like there is no downside.
Yeah.
There's your tankier, or you have like in the monks you have invulnerability, and you do a lot of freaking damage. Like you cannot even go close to them because they're gonna kill you. So
Well,
they have to do something to the other classes, or maybe to these specific classes, just reduce the damage.
it's all going to be flipped on its head when the warlock comes, melts everything, and has unkillable or something for minutes at a time. Okay, let's keep going on. We have something here for Telluric Pearls, so you can. What is this? You could. Oh, incremental upgrades of the 2-star gems for Telluric Pearls, which I would never recommend using Telluric Pearls for the 2 stars anyway.
It's like only if you need like 1 or 2 copies. Yeah, like usually a better solution, especially if you are a low spender or free to play, I think it is better to get like these Telluric Pearls into 5 stars because those are probably going to be more rare for you to get.
Yeah.
There's also an argument that 2 stars at rank 10, they are like very good, so it's kind of sometimes can be worth it, the Telluric Pearls. I personally don't think so, but yeah.
It depends on people's account and how they are. But what's up with this account? 98,984 gem power.
Yeah, they took a screenshot of my account. I don't know why. Like Blizzard.
I mean, yeah, free to play Indez, just sitting on the gem power. All right, additional improve. I mean, that's really it, man. That's really it. These additional improvements don't really mean much. So
yeah, the only cool thing is like we have a teleport now next to Namari. So until now, if you wanted to go to Namari, you had to do a walk of shame, which is like you go to the city and then you had to run.
That's true.
To the
back road.
So now, now you're just gonna be near the dungeon. So that's nice.
Overall, this update, I know that you have your concerns about it and why they're doing these things, but do you think that this is a win? Do you think that this is a fail? Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I like most of the instances. I think they are gonna try to open up like new builds. I like the matchmaking. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I think that's very interesting what they are trying to push into PvP. I like the new features. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan of the AFK farming. It's I don't think it's a good sign because it starts with these and eventually we're gonna add skip to dungeons and then skip to raids and then skip to bounties and in
Well,
5 years we're just gonna be logging in and skip
yeah.
and that's it.
There's some games that okay, so I've played King Shot, Rise of Kingdoms, and my routine in the morning was wake up, log in, and take 5 minutes inside of like a King Shot game, collect everything, and do all of these setups, and then the game does its own thing. Diablo Immortal's not like that. But they have started implementing some of these things, like the accursed towers, how you can have your pets run them, how your aspirant keys, even sometimes the bounties can be run by your pets as well, your shadow contracts. Like, this isn't new, taking out some of the grind, because everyone hated running shadow contracts. I still hate running shadow contracts, and I'll have my pets do it all the time. So this could just be another step in another direction for farming. I'm actually surprised they didn't have it where they could just have a pet go do some type of AFK farming to keep like the zones uncluttered.
I would have said that maybe extending the pet system would have been better, but make it like more interesting.
But
Yeah, like I think like those are different games, right?
yeah,
Like those games are designed to be more like you are the manager, you are the coach, you set up the team and you
yeah,
let them go, right? So it's like I feel like whenever I play those games, I have like a different expectations because it's just like it's like more like brain kind of like strategy game, right? And you set the pieces and then you just let it loose.
yeah.
In Diablo games, it's a very hands-on game, or at least that's what the
Supposed to be.
expectations tend to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think like any other game in the past, the more you have these features, the more you stop caring in the long term. That's just how I feel.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I like it personally because I play multiple different games. I know that you are basically all in on Diablo Immortal. I don't spend 5 hours a day playing, and I don't want to spend 3 hours a day farming. I prefer the idea that I could log in and I could do the things that I want to. You know what I did all last week, bro? I saw my dungeons racking up, my bounties. They actually went over and I missed them because I was playing freaking Survivor's Bane all week. I just kept doing endless Survivor's Bane. I actually got the
but
thing
that's a
where,
good thing.
huh?
You were having fun. When was the last time you were having fun?
Exactly.
Inside
That's
Diablo?
my point.
That's good.
And then I realized yesterday that Survivor's Bane is still going on. So I did more endless Survivor's Bane. And I actually got the thing where you beat 50 bosses. So now I could have extra. I've never gotten. I never played it that much, but it's just I was able to log in and I said, screw it. I don't care about that I'm missing the dungeons. I don't care that I'm missing the battles. I just want to log in and play what I want. So this does give us the ability for people that may just want to log in and do Battlegrounds or log in and do whatever other game mode. And it doesn't completely eliminate grind because you are going to need to go grind better pieces of gear, but it definitely does help. So I'm a fan of it. I like the update, but I think like you mentioned, there are going to be people on both sides of the fence. So we'll see. Yeah. But dude, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate the conversation as always.
That was a good talk. A good talk. I liked it.
It was. Next time we do this, we're not going over it beforehand. We're just diving in so we could clash heads a little bit because sometimes we have different opinions, which is cool. Guys, I'm going to leave the link to Indez's channel in the description of this video. He live streams most days, puts out great videos. Go check him out if you like his stuff. Subscribe to the channel. Indez, thanks so much, dude. Go have a great time at the gym.
Thank you so much, man. And I want to see those comments down below. Which one? Are you team Indez or are you team Echo? I want to see that.
They're all going to say Team Indez, bro. You know that. The way that you just framed that, I'm framed to lose.
Okay.
Team AFK or not Team AFK? You.
That's right. I like that more.
All right, man. Thanks for coming through. Thank you guys for watching.